Hey everyone, ready to climb high above those massive cargo ships?
I'm ready.
Today we're all about getting you prepped and ready for a container crane operator interview. Those skilled folks who keep those colorful shipping containers moving like clockwork.
It's a job that requires focus, nerves of steel, and you gotta love precision.
You got it. But the rewards can be pretty amazing, right?
Absolutely. It's one of those careers where you actually see the impact of your work every single day. Global trade, it all depends on these operators.
And to guide us today, we've got a few resources. We've got a career guide that's going to give us the big picture, an interview guide packed with some common questions and smart answers, and also some insights into how RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your responses.
It's like a little secret weapon that can help boost your confidence and really showcase your best self.
Exactly. So first, let's get a feel for the career itself. The career guide paints a pretty exciting picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It mentions strong job security, which makes sense.
Right.
The world depends on shipping,
Right.
and there's also a solid earning potential. But it also, stresses that you need physical stamina
Yeah.
and that you've got to be prepared to work some long and sometimes irregular hours.
It's definitely not your typical 9 to 5 desk job. No, it's demanding. You're going to need to be
Yeah.
prepared for that. But if you enjoy, a hands-on, high-impact career, incredibly rewarding.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of it, the interview itself. One question that seems to come up a lot is, can you describe your experience operating container cranes?
Mm.
I'm sure you've got tons of experience, but how can someone really nail this question? Stand out from the crowd.
Well, this is really your moment to shine, to showcase, not just your expertise, but your passion for this work. Don't just give them, a dry list of every crane you've ever touched.
Yeah, I bet.
No, paint a picture for them.
I like it.
Talk about the specific types of cranes you've operated. The ship-to-shore cranes, the giants, the ones that span the docks, or, maybe you've worked with those smaller rubber-tired gantry cranes they use in the yard.
Right.
Highlight the tasks that you've performed, whether it's loading, unloading ships, stacking those containers, or just moving cargo around that busy terminal.
So it's about showing the depth of your experience, not just, ticking boxes.
Exactly. And whenever you can, quantify that experience. Saying something like, I've safely moved over 10,000 containers. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Way more powerful than, oh, I've worked with containers. Use numbers. Make those skills, real, tangible.
It makes sense. That's a great tip. Now, I'm going to guess that safety is huge in this line of work, right?
Huge.
So how would you recommend someone approaches the question, how do you ensure the safety of yourself and others while operating a container crane?
Well, safety is everything in this job. And the interviewers, they want to know you take it seriously, very seriously. So start by emphasizing that you're committed to those safety protocols and procedures, all of them, the established ones.
Yeah.
If you've got any specific certifications like OSHA compliance or some industry-recognized crane operation training, you definitely mention those.
So it's about more than just saying, I follow the rules.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to describe how you personally, approach safety. Do you conduct thorough pre-operation checks? How do you assess the risks that are out there? How are you maintaining that communication, that constant communication with the ground crews?
Yeah.
For instance, you could say something like, before I do any lift, I visually inspect the crane, all the rigging, the area around me. I confirm that load weight, and if I've got any doubts, I don't proceed.
It shows, you're responsible, you're proactive. Now, speaking of proactive, what about how do you handle maintenance and repairs on a container crane? I mean, you're not expected to be a mechanic, right?
That's right, yeah. You're not expected to rebuild the engine or anything,
Yeah.
but you do need a basic understanding of, the crane's mechanics, and you have to have that proactive approach to maintenance. So focus on those routine things, checking fluid levels, inspecting those cables, those hooks, lubricating the moving parts.
It's about showing you take ownership,
Right.
right? You care about the equipment.
Exactly. And if you've ever spotted, an issue early on, or you've even assisted a maintenance technician, mention it.
Yeah,
It shows you're vigilant.
makes sense.
Yeah, and you're committed to keeping those things running smoothly. You could say, I once noticed somewhere on a lifting cable and reported it right away, and it might have prevented a safety hazard.
Okay, so let's talk about the unexpected. Things don't always go as planned.
Right.
The interview guide actually mentions this question. How do you handle unexpected situations while operating a container crane, such as equipment malfunctions or sudden weather changes? That one feels a bit more intense.
It is. This is really where they want to see your problem-solving skills and see how you handle pressure. Can you
Yeah.
stay calm? They want to see how you react when things don't go your way. And the best way to answer, remember these behavioral questions, is the STAR method.
Oh, yeah, the STAR method. What is it again?
Sure. So STAR, it stands for situation, task, action, and then result. And it's just a structured way to tell your story, and showcase those skills.
Okay, I remember now. So, like, for a question about a malfunction,
Mm-hmm.
you would start by describing, like, okay, so maybe there was a hydraulic failure
Right.
suddenly.
Right.
And then you would outline the task at hand, which is, to secure the crane, secure the load.
Exactly, exactly. Then you go into the actions you took, like, did you follow those emergency protocols? Did you communicate with the ground crew? Maybe you had to use like manual overrides to get that crane stabilized.
Right.
And then finally the result. What happened? Did you prevent damage?
Mm-hmm.
Injury? You highlight that positive result.
So it's about taking what could be a negative and showing your skills and composure, how you stay calm. That's helpful.
And practice these scenarios beforehand. Think back to your own experience, those challenges. The more specific you are, the more vivid your story, the more memorable you'll be.
I love that tip.
Yeah.
Now, before we go on, I want to touch on RoleCatcher and how it can help with, this preparation stage.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tool, for refining your answers. You can actually input that job description, and RoleCatcher's AI, it analyzes the keywords, what skills they're looking for.
Wow.
And then you can practice, get personalized feedback.
So it's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Exactly, exactly. RoleCatcher, it can really help you identify, where can you strengthen your answers, making sure you're hitting all the right points and that you're presenting yourself in the best light. It can even help you tailor your answers to specific types of cranes or cargo handling experience, whatever the job needs.
That is incredible. Okay, so with all of that in mind, let's get back to those interview questions, see what other gems we can find.
Let's do it. I'm ready to take your interview prep to the next level. Okay, so how about this one? How do you prioritize tasks while operating a container crane, especially during peak periods? That's a good one.
Oh, yeah, I bet things could get super hectic, when ships are coming and going, trucks are all lined up, everyone's in a rush.
It's a pressure cooker for sure.
So how do you show them you can handle that?
Well, it's all about staying organized, staying focused, being efficient, even when things are crazy.
So it's more than just speed.
Right. Yeah, it's about working smart. Talk about how you stay on top of things, your strategies. Maybe you have a system for tracking containers, or maybe you're good at spotting those bottlenecks before they even happen.
Anticipating, yeah.
And don't forget to highlight how you coordinate with those ground crews, keeping things moving.
It sounds like communication is really key here.
It's everything. And if you happen to have experience with, any container management software, specific software, make sure you mention that tech-savvy stuff.
Shows you're up to date, yeah.
Right.
The guide actually has a good example. During peak periods, I prioritize tasks based on vessel arrival and departure times. I use the terminal operating system to track container locations and communicate efficiently with the yard team to minimize delays.
That's a great example.
It really paints that picture of someone who gets it,
It does. It shows that you understand the flow, how everything works together.
The big picture, yeah.
Okay, so building on that efficiency idea, let's look at this. How do you ensure efficiency and productivity while operating a container crane?
Still working smart, I guess, but what are we looking for here?
Here, they're digging a little deeper. They want to see if you really understand how to make the whole operation sing.
Okay.
Think about those techniques that minimize crane movements. Every swing of that boom takes time, right?
I imagine so.
So you have to plan it out, be strategic.
And I'm guessing how the containers are stacked matters too, right?
Big time. Yeah, if they're stacked right, it makes retrieval and loading so much faster. You would even talk about things you've done, initiatives to improve safety, reduce downtime. All that affects productivity.
So it's all connected.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, this next question in the guide, it kind of threw me. Have you ever dealt with a difficult customer while operating a container crane? Wait, how? You're way up there.
You'd be surprised, even though you're not face-to-face with customers, things happen, miscommunications, delays.
Right.
People get frustrated. But remember, as a crane operator, you're part of that team, the bigger team.
So it's about, even if it's not you directly, you know how to handle the fallout. Stay professional.
Exactly. So talk about your communication skills. How do you de-escalate a tense situation?
Yeah.
You could say something like, I had this situation once where a container was delayed because of a paperwork problem. So I explained it to the truck driver. He was waiting, kept things calm, worked with the dispatch team to find a solution.
Okay, shows you're a team player and a problem solver. I like that. Now, what about this one? It's also in the guide. How do you handle communication with other personnel during a container crane operation? This seems crucial.
It is crucial. You've got all those moving parts, those potential hazards. I mean, communication can literally make the difference between, smooth sailing and a major incident.
Wow.
They want to see you understand that, how important clear communication is.
So key things to highlight.
Talk about your experience using the different methods, radio, hand signals, whatever's standard in the industry.
Yeah.
Describe how you make sure you're understanding instructions, giving instructions the right way, confirming everything, and, super important, reporting any potential issues right away.
Like a constant flow of information.
Yeah, exactly. And anything you've done, any experience you have working as part of a team, even outside this industry, it's relevant. It shows you can collaborate, and that's a skill everybody wants, right?
Right. Okay, back to safety for a sec. The guide mentions this one, which seems pretty straightforward, but I'm guessing it's not as simple as it sounds. How do you ensure compliance with safety regulations and standards while operating a container crane?
Yeah. It might seem simple, but you can't just say, I follow the rules.
Right.
You have to show them,
Yeah.
You deeply understand those regulations, and you're committed. Safety's not an afterthought for you.
More than just a checklist.
Exactly. So mention that training, those certifications, OSHA, any crane operating certifications, specific protocols that you've used in other roles.
It's all about showing you're proactive about safety.
Absolutely.
Right.
Ownership, right.
Right.
Safety at every single step. And remember, things change, so show them you're staying up to date, new regulations, best practices, all of it.
Okay, here's a chance to really show what you can do. What is your experience with different types of container cranes? Let's say you've worked with a lot of different ones. How do you approach this?
This is where you wow them with your knowledge, and your adaptability. So start by listing those different types, specific details about them, what they can do, what their limitations are, like ship-to-shore cranes, those massive ones, or rubber-tired gantry cranes. Those are the mobile ones you see in the yards. And don't forget rail-mounted gantry cranes, the ones on tracks, and even the smaller yard cranes.
So really painting a picture, not just names, but what makes them different.
Exactly. And then go further. Tell them how you adjusted, your operating techniques to each crane. Did the controls change? Lifting capacities? Maneuvering? And if you've ever had to switch between different models, different manufacturers even, that's great to mention.
Shows you can learn fast.
Exactly. And adapt to different environments. Now, before we wrap up, I want to mention RoleCatcher again, especially for these kinds of questions where you really got to be specific.
Right.
That AI, it can really analyze those job descriptions and tell you exactly what skills they're looking for, what experience. Then you can tailor your answers.
So let's say they really want someone with experience on a particular type of crane.
Right.
You can use RoleCatcher to make sure you're showcasing that, practice those answers.
Exactly. And that feedback, that AI feedback, it can pick up on things you might not even notice.
Oh, wow.
Like your tone of voice, pacing, even body language if you're using that video practice feature.
So it's like a mirror, but better.
Exactly. It helps you refine everything, come across as confident, professional. You've got this. So remember, RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way, from figuring out what they want, tailoring your answers, practicing your delivery. It gives you that confidence you need to ace it.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. We've tackled tough interview questions, talked about different types of cranes, even gotten into the world of container management software. So what do you say we move on to the final part of this deep dive and bring it all home?
Sounds good. Let's bring this container ship into port.
Okay, so we've really gone deep on how to make a great impression in a container crane operator interview.
We have, from all that safety stuff, equipment maintenance, to those behavioral questions and showing them what you know about all the different types of cranes out there.
And we can't forget about RoleCatcher and how much it can help you, tailor those answers, practice that delivery.
Seriously, it's a game changer for anybody who wants to land that dream job, right?
Absolutely. But before we wrap up completely, I wanted to go back to something you said earlier about, the bigger picture of this whole thing, this job.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in all the technical stuff, but what's the impact, the real impact of what a container crane operator does?
Right. It's more than just moving boxes. It's way more than that. You're a crucial part of that whole global supply chain. Think about it. You're connecting, producers and consumers across continents.
You're like the conductor, right?
Yeah.
You're orchestrating this whole symphony of global trade.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Every container you move, those are goods, materials, products that people all over the world depend on. I mean, from the clothes we wear to the food, it all passes through your hands at some point.
Wow, I hadn't thought of it like that. It really does give the whole thing, a sense of purpose.
Right.
Yeah, a big responsibility.
And that purpose, it's motivating. You're
Mm.
not just punching a clock, you're contributing to something much bigger.
Which brings us back to those pros and cons, right? Those
Yeah.
long hours, the demands on your body, being out in the elements, all part of that vital role in this global system.
Absolutely. But for people who like a challenge, who take pride in what they do, it's super satisfying.
Yeah,
And you get to make a real difference.
you do. So as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with a final thought. Now that you've got all these insights, all these tools, what is it about being a container crane operator
Hmm.
that you're most excited to, learn more about? Is it that technical mastery of those massive machines? Or is it the strategy? How do you optimize a whole port? Or maybe it's that, global impact we were just talking about.
Whatever it is, whatever sparks that curiosity, go for it. There's so much information out there. Talk to people in the industry, visit a port, use RoleCatcher to explore different jobs, all kinds of options.
I love that. Don't wait for opportunity to find you. Go out there and make it happen.
Exactly.
The world of shipping.
Mm.
They're waiting for people like you, those skilled, passionate people.
So climb aboard that crane, go make your mark.
Until next time, happy lifting, everyone.
Yeah.